and welcome to the OPL. My name is Michael Hingers-Hing, and we have a massive night of esports for you. Hashtag IamOPL. Let's get this trending, get in touch. This is week 10, day 1, meaning tonight we'll be seeing 2 best of 3s as teams are desperately vying for that last spot in the playoffs. Every single game counts, and for the first time in OPL history, we could be seeing a 3-way tie for 4th spot. Absolutely unprecedented stuff. So, to talk us through the complex machinations of the games and the table math, I'm joined here at the analyst desk by Shaqcaster analyst Indiana Frosker and Black, and also by the former host of this very show, who has now moved permanently to the other side of the desk, Jake Spawn Tiberi. Welcome to you both. How are you doing? Jake, you look very well rested from your holiday. I heard you read like 1,000 books.
Yeah, I actually had a really good break. I went down to Melbourne, saw some family, read the Belgariad and the Malorian. They're both great series, so, got in touch with that. Read some Wuthering Heights as well, which is my favorite book of all time. I also am trying to sit as far away from the hosting chair as possible. Never want to go back there, Higgins. You look very comfortable, and it's good to have someone else.
Thank you. Indy, how have you been last? Have you read Wuthering Heights recently?
No, I read Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
It's a bit of a different pace.
Just keeping it very simple, obviously, so you can concentrate your giant brain on League of Legends.
Yeah,
that is
something
clearly,
like that.
Yeah. And tattoos, obviously. All right, well, we are... as you said, holiday, you're back. You're both excited for this huge night we have tonight. We're going to be, let's take a look at where the teams stand. As we bring up the standings, in the top spot, Legacy are in for now, but they could lose that to Direwolves in the coming week. Chiefs are sitting at 3rd, and here's where it gets interesting, because AV, Abyss, and Tainted Minds are all within reach of that last playoff spot, and we see both Sin and Hellions facing down the barrel of that relegation tournament. That's where we're at, so let's take a look at the schedule for this week. Tonight, first up, Abyss take on last place Hellions, who are still looking for that first win of the season. After that, Chiefs look to solidify that 3rd place spot as they play Avant-Garde. Tomorrow night, Tainted Minds take on Sin, and we have that OPL Legends match, Direwolves versus Legacy, where the Direwolves could take that top spot. Have you guys ever seen a league this close? Jake?
Yeah, not in the OPL, actually. I mean, normally we have kind of Legacy, Chiefs, rest, I think, last split, and then before that, Chiefs were kind of top dogs. But, this is really close, and it's going down to the wire. It's good to see the 2, newer teams in the OCS representatives coming in Tainted Minds and Abyss, I guess, ready to take on what will most likely be a 3-way tiebreaker at this point for that 4th spot.
The thing is, jumping off the back of it, I think it also kind of speaks to the overall level of the OPL, kind of stepping up these new teams as well as kind of this middle of the pack. This is the first time where it's not just like ledge and someone drops off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit strange in that regard. I do think that, the teams are starting to catch up a little bit. In saying that, this is probably the most consistent split of the OPL we've had at least since the first one, where Legacy from about, week 3 or 4, when they got their full roster back together, have actually looked like the best team throughout. I mean, the Chiefs really have dropped a little bit, and I think that Legacy right now should be the favorite.
All right, well, this is one of the most important and decisive weeks we've ever had in the OPL. So, just so we know where we stand and what could happen, here's Fish to run us through the possibilities.
Thanks, Hingers. I'm here to show you guys what are the potential tiebreakers that are going to be happening on Wednesday. First up is going to be Direwolves taking on Legacy. If Direwolves can pick up a 2-0 victory over Legacy, they send them into a first-place tiebreaker heading into the OPL playoffs. Second is going to be Chiefs taking on Avant. If Avant-Garde can pick up a 2-1 victory over the Chiefs, that means that they go into a 3rd and 4th place tiebreaker heading into the OPL playoffs as well. And last but definitely not least, there's a potential for a 3-way tie between Abyss, Avant, as well as Tainted Minds. In order for this to take place, there has to be Abyss picking up a win over Hellions tonight, followed by Avant-Garde dropping their games to Chiefs, and last but not least, Tainted Minds picking up a win over Sin. And that sends us into a 3-way tie for the 4th and final spot heading into OPL playoffs. All these tiebreakers would be played on Wednesday at 6 p.m. AEST, live here, if there are any. So back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks very much, Fish. Bearing all that in mind, we're running a poll on Twitter. Who do you think is going to take that last spot in the finals? Hashtag IamOPL, or follow us at lol_Oceania. Frosco, your boys Sin are out of the running. So who do you reckon is going to take that 4th spot?
I think if it comes down, the most likely scenario is going to be number 3, where we have a 3-way tie. I'm actually going to give it to Abyss. I think pound for pound across the roster, they're more consistent, in particular the bottom lane. So if I'm going to rank them, I think it's kind of Abyss, Avant, Tainted Minds. Again, Tainted Minds only have really their bot lane going for them. Avant have kind of the top side of the map, and I think Abyss, with Raid and T-Gun, it just puts them right over the edge.
Spawn, do you agree? Who are you going to give it to?
Yeah, I absolutely disagree, actually. So I think that the way that the playoffs are right now, and I guess the ladder is kind of indicative of the current OPL strength. I think that Avant-Garde will be that fourth place team. I think that even though we will go into a three-way tie situation, in fact, I honestly don't think there's any way around it right now, they're still good enough to be able to clinch there. And I'm happy for Avant because they really have put in the work to, rebuild around Shelby and Triple in the mid lane and just put together a new roster, and it's done great things for them this split.
Yeah, so if we go into this three-way tie that Fish was talking about, we just keep playing games against all of them until we get a winner, right?
Well, theoretically, that's what happens, but realistically what probably happens is Avant comes in, picks up 2 quick wins, we all get to go home. So, that's what I'm expecting, and we'll see whether it works out that way.
Are you sure we're not going to be here forever? Like, just living here forever? No?
I've slept at the office before. Have you not known that? I mean, during one of the tournaments, it was happening between midnight and like 10 a.m. I just went and had a kip upstairs in Baron Pit. There's some beanbags. It was great.
Oh, wild card.
How I miss them.
Oh. All right, so let's get into it. Let us look at the lineups for tonight. This is going to be Abyss versus Hellions in the top lane. We're going to be seeing Pac-Man, Seb in the jungle, Luch in the mid lane, Raid, AD carry, and T-Gun in support. And they'll be facing off against the Hellions, who are looking for that first win. Let's take a look at their team. Ryu in the top lane, Impaired in the jungle, Frey mid lane, and Bomb in AD carry, which is the swap we saw last week, and Luna in support. Frosco, let me start with you. We saw that role swap last week. Were Hellions right to carry it across to week 10?
I mean, frankly, this role swap needed to happen about 8 weeks ago because Frey has been the one true mid laner that the Hellions have needed this entire time. He just offers so much more pressure on the map, and we saw that with his Talia game. And it's not just 1v1 winning lane, because indisputably, I think that Bomb is still the superior 1v1 mechanical mid laner, although Frey is very good, and I don't think that there's that noticeable a difference, but it's mostly impacting the map. And we were curious if Impaired was going to have the same relationship with Frey as he did with Bomb. And it looked even better. The two of them moving around, opening up space, particularly for their top laner Ryu. So I like the fact that they continue with the change, and hopefully they can find growth and development as they go into relegations.
And the best iteration that we've actually seen in this lineup is when they came back through relegations. And I mean, they were playing Frey in the mid lane, a young man named Zenk from Melbourne in AD carry, and Teague on their support. That is undisputably the best that we've actually seen Hellions in the last couple of splits. So, the fact that they've gone back to it, I'm actually really glad for the team. I hope this puts them back on the right track.
Yeah, meanwhile, Spawn, you were saying that in Abyss, you're looking at the top lane Pac-Man as being the impactful player, right?
Yeah, and whilst I was a little bit harsh on Abyss, I actually really do like their lineup, and I think Pac-Man has really become that versatile carry that the team was looking for. I mean, we always said, they've got a great mid laner in Luch. I mean, Seb's a great jungler, but, where else can they look for some carry? And Pac-Man, through the Swain performances, big Trundle games, he really has proven that he can be that extra player to step up.
Yeah, Frosco, do you agree? Do you think Pac-Man is the informed player?
Whoa, I was the one who gave Abyss coming out of that tiebreaker. So yeah, I think Pac-Man definitely has the potential that he can step up being a carry. Obviously, he has more of that identity of being bruiser-oriented. Big Trundle should see that taken away from every single time. But again, the beauty about Abyss is they have a strong side of the map, but I think that their bot side is also just as flexible in T-Gun and Raid.
So let's talk again about Bomb versus Frey. Let's get them to compare their stats. Frosco, talk us through what this means. It's a role swap, but you said these players, Bomb is the more mechanically... they're on par with each other.
To be fair to Bomb, obviously these stats are skewed based on sample size. The fact that Frey has only played few games, that Bomb has played many more games, so that's obviously going to impact things like kill participation, KDA, and CS per minute. But already we're seeing, these numbers didn't immediately drop off. Frey kind of took the standard that Bomb had set, met it, and then pushed a little bit farther. And again, I go back kind of to that Talia game because I think it was the perfect example. He would do things like just shove out the wave and then just disappear into Fog of War. And that sounds so basic, but what that does is it alleviates pressure into the side lanes, because if Ryu's getting pushed in and the mid laner disappears from the map, the enemy top laner cannot afford to dive Ryu underneath tower. Alleviates pressure, has to back off. And Bomb wouldn't do that. He was much more greedy. He was much more about the 1v1 and finding that power there. So he would continue that if he had a push on the enemy mid laner, that he would poke, he would prod, and he would continue to abuse that person underneath tower, but that wouldn't help any of his side lanes. So I think that simple adjustment has alleviated a lot of stress on the Hellions.
Yeah, Spawn, what do Hellions have to do to maybe get a win tonight? Like, in what way can they possibly...
I think that that's a really hard question because I think that Hellions were kind of building in a direction and then they kind of took that big right-hand turn where they did make this role swap. I think that the biggest thing that they can do is, put all the eggs in Ryu's basket. I keep going back to it, but Ryu at one stage was pretty much going to be the next best top laner in the OPL, and I think that he still has that potential. I mean, get on board, get him in Fiora, see if you can carry.
All right, well, let us go to predictions now. Frosco, what are your thoughts? Abyss versus Hellions?
I think it's going to be Abyss. I think that
yep.
they just have more threats across the map. They've seen, I mean, we keep saying that this is a chance for development for Hellions, but we've already seen that development start for Abyss.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think that whilst Hellions I actually think they'll pick up a cheeky map here. I think that, they just don't have the consistency that we want out of a top OPL team right now, and they probably will go through winless, so unfortunately.
Well, Abyss are one of the teams fighting for that 4th spot in the playoffs, and you can buy tickets to the OPL Split 2 finals via the website, os.lollysports.com. It's in Brisbane, the Piazza. I'll be there. Jake will be there. It'll be a fun time. Or if you're not in Brisbane, you'll be able to view screenings at various Hoyt cinemas across the country. You can buy tickets from that, again, at the website on your screen right now. But that is enough from us. Let us hand over to the casters. It's Atlas and Rusty.
Thank you very much, Hingers, and very excited to get into game number 1. Of course, Hellions desperate for that victory. The role swap, Rusty. We heard a lot about Frey. Frey, good addition to the mid lane. Bomb, however, kind of like his namesake, moving down into that 80 carry position, wasn't necessarily as impactful.
Yeah, stark contrast as well. Frey, the immediate upgrade. Bomb, unfortunately, was an immediate downgrade in terms of relative performance. It just feels like wherever Frey is, it does better.
Yes. Well, we'll see whether Abyss are going to be able to capitalize on that or whether it's going to be Hellions finding their way through somehow, despite all of their efforts earlier on. We are into champion select. Of course, first ban for Abyss will be the LeBlanc away from Frey, and the Vladimir gets taken away from Luch there, as well as the Azir. Nidalee away from Impaired. Now Abyss to round out their bans. And the mid lane focus, does it make sense to you, Rusty?
Yeah, of course. Frey is one of the better performing members, as is Luch, someone that has received an abundance of targeted bans away from him.
Yep.
Has actually had to revert sometimes to champions like Orianna, but has still been able to find victories on these champions. And yeah, it's a good strategy. It's never going to be 100%.
Well, the Gangplank is going to be the final ban there against Ryu, as Malzahar gets taken away just in general, because he's pretty silly. As I believe we are on 6.14 as well.
We are indeed.
Possible Fiora first pick? How are you feeling, Rusty?
I don't know if Fiora will be first pickable with champions like Trundle still available on Summoner's Rift. Again, all of these mid lane bans being targeted. They could default to easy, safe champions like the Braum once again, give T-Gun something safe. Karma also exists, as does Sivir. So there's a champion basically in every single role that still stands out, including Rek'Sai as a big performer, that they could look towards. And it comes down to personal preference now for Abyss, which role they would like for them or to deny from the enemy.
I do like the Gragas first pick, though, as they lock that one away. Abyss deciding to go for a lot of engaged potential and a lot of early ganking prowess. Give Seb the tools, and Seb will deliver.
Absolutely. He had a standout performance on that Gragas last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Man can hit those explosive casts like it's nobody's business and always seems to connect on the carries, of course, taking it from Impaired at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Will have the fallback champions such as the Rek'Sai, such as the Elise in his utility. Nidalee, the only one taken from him. Starting to creep up as well in popularity once again, that Nidalee.
Yeah, a little bit of that early jungle skirmishing power. But the Hecarim is still available. Things like the Shen also available. A lot of options here for Hellions as they're looking at the Victor. Frey, fantastic performance. 7-2-2 in a losing game is something that I'd be pretty impressed with. Had it like a 10.7 CS per minute as well. But when you're the sole wave clear of your team, can work out that way. As Sona, another champion with some buffs.
Yeah.
That silly cooldown reduction makes you feel like you're playing Earth mode.
I was holding off on Sona. I didn't really know if it was going to be looked towards with too much aggression. They definitely decided that a first rotation is warranted, it seems. And maybe the enemy can pick champions that can deal with the Sona, of course. Has a ridiculously powerful late game now, scaling with the ultimate. So you can get up to 85% cooldown reduction, which is the max that you can get. Of course, Sona's R now gives you 20, 30, and 40 respectively as you level it up. A strong champion in its own right gives that sustain, but you can die really easily.
Yeah, always the case. Of course, Sona can often be picked on, but T-Gun going back to a fan favorite in the Karma, as Raid locks in the Sivir here as well. So a heck of a lot of AoE movement speed here for Abyss. They want to get around the map and get things done.
They definitely do. Picking that Karma Siva, they can control the minion waves. They can look at 1-3-1s as well if Luch is to opt into a split pusher of some variety. There's plenty of avenues now for Abyss Esports to attack. Hellions on the flip side, that early rotation of the Sona have bottlenecked themselves to be a lot more linear in how they wish to play this one out. Of course, Sona wants to be hitting the big crescendos and locking people down. The laning phase will be powerful from them regardless. Doesn't actually matter what the AD carry even is. If they look to something like a Caitlyn, it just gets empowered further. It's more so, what do Hellions do outside of the laning phase when everything comes together and they only have one way to go in?
We can see now it is Impaired looking at a jungler here, Frey. Considering it as Bomb just locks in the Jhin. Of course, played Ezreal Lucian last week. Now moving over to that Jhin. Does have a little bit more mid lane flavor. I do like it for that. Just feels like a caster. Fantix played it in the mid lane.
Yeah, it does feel a bit more spell weaving
Wow.
in its respects.
That's a Jarvan.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, yeah, they've actually played Jarvan in their last set that they competed in.
Yeah.
They went for the full wombo. Didn't exactly work as they had planned, but that's simply because they put it into effect a little bit too late and things had already unwinded quite negatively for them. But Impaired, quite a strong Jarvan, put that with the Sona, even lock them down in between the walls and have a Jhin throwing pop shots at you.
Does make it feel like a mosh pit inside that Cataclysm.
And there'll be dubstep as well if a Victor's involved.
Whoa, imagine it. Or if it's DJ Sona, imagine that. Hellions really getting the work done as Luch. Thinking about what he wants to pick up. The 2 solo laners now for Abyss to be decided upon. So we already know that the Victor's there. Luch, considering what he wants to do, locks away the Cassiopeia. And Pac-Man thinking about going back to one of his favorites in the Trundle. He's played it, of course, 4 other times. In his most played equal with the Shen. So that'll be 5th. He locks the troll away.
Yeah, something that Frostgurn even mentioned on the desk. Probably don't want to give to him.
Yeah.
But he has it. Abyss Esports have rounded out their composition quite well. Wouldn't be shocked to see something like the Fiora, honestly, from Ryu. Without knowing what he's going to be picking, though, into the team that he has, it would make more sense to be a Maokai, to be perfectly honest with you, or something like a Gnar, a playmaking flank, perhaps heavy top laner. Again, Hecarim even comes to mind in that respect if they put the Jarvan top lane.
I do like the Hecarim idea. Don't like Maokai as much. Whenever I see Subjugate, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
feels bad, but can still work.
Yeah, definitely can still work. Champions like that come to mind, but it is Hellions, and perhaps they do just say Fiora is the best way. They're the closest team we have to LGD locally, because I'll just play champions that let them win lane and try and snowball through it.
Well, Ryu is going to go to Comfort, exactly like you mentioned, but in the form of Rumble this time around. Decided to burn down the Troll. Has been a popular pick into that guy towards the top side of the map, and we'll see how Ryu is going to go this time around, because Hellions, they just got to get on the board. They just need one victory.
Yeah, they really do need just one.
Yeah.
Definitely struggling right now, and this is their last opportunity, or they could be our first winless team in the OPL. Rounding that composition out with a Rumble is quite nice. Of course, laning phase, once you hit about the level 5 mark, you can stand behind those minions. You don't make them angry at you when you're hitting them with the Flame Spitter, and you'll out-damage what a Trundle heals until you get 2 or so items in there, such as custom in a Trundle lane. I mean, Hellions can do well in lanes. They can still perform through ganks from Impaired, and you'd think that once they hit level 6, this is the ultimate power play composition that just wants to find a Drake and go all in fighting for that objective.
Yeah.
I think Abyss actually have plenty of tools to either run at them, run away from them, engage or disengage, all at the same time.
Well, they've got 3 disengaged specialists here in the form of the Trundle, the Gragas, and the Karma as well. Not to mention they've got On the Hunt from Sivir. So I feel like Abyss, they can choose when they want to fight, and it's going to be a lot about when Hellions decide to go in, when these cooldowns are down. But we want to hear from you on Twitter. Use the hashtag AEWin if you think Abyss can take the Hellions down, or if you believe in the one victory the Hellions will be able to pick up in the regular season of the OPL. Use that hashtag HLNWin. They need you. They need your support so badly here now in their time of need.
Yeah, channel your inner Australian if you really want to have the underdogs. Of course, Abyss are the underdogs in their own right, so really you get to pick and choose as you would please, because this is a must-win for Abyss if they want to have any shot at making the top 4.
Exactly right. We need to pray for that 3-way tie possibility in order for Abyss to find their way through. Of course, Frostgurn thinks it's possible, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to take down game number 1 as we are now onto the Rift. And having a look at the Keystone Mastery is not anything really standing out apart from that Storm Raiders surge for Frey.
This is the weirdest thing, and I actually had a conversation about this with Swiffer. It works.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but why not have the Thunderlords for what is defined as surprise damage? which is something that you have a trade in. Maybe you hit the Q, the laser double taps, and then you actually get a Thunderlord's proc, and it's more damage than they anticipated. You might kill them before they blow summoner spells, as an example. I mean, going for Storm Raider Surge makes up for his missing the Ghost, because he's gone for the Cleanse into Cassiopeia. But it's a risk, and he's missing damage in these trades, where Luch will, over time, do a lot more than him. It's about 20 seconds that a Deathfire touch becomes more efficient than even a Thunderlord's in terms of trading. And Frey just has no trading.
Well, Luch will also scale incredibly well. I mean, Deathfire touch has always been that, so scary stuff. I like the idea theoretically, even if there is sort of a soft cap for that movement speed with the fact that you do get it from your Q landing. Having the ability to run away from a Cassiopeia is probably important.
Yeah, it definitely is. If you put down your Chaos Storm and she stuns you, you can cleanse and run away at super speed, but her W usually will negate that move speed bonus that you get. I really don't see too much merit in it, even in this matchup opposed to a Thunderlords.
Frey just throwing out that Q as we are into the laning phase. You can see no lane swaps to come in, and the Sona Jhin will take their time moving into this lane. Luch just waiting for that Twin Fang to be available as the Mantra Q flies out, and Bomb even tanks the tip of the Boomerang as well.
Yeah, Luna starting for the Q means that they are basically out of this lane now. They're banking on level 2. This is a disastrous start for the bottom lane of the Hellions, but once they tick that level 2 point, they'll be fine. It is a Sona after all.
I kind of wish our spectator client could switch over to the Sona music. I'm not sure whether we can though. As T-Gun taking a lot of harass here towards the bottom side. Good stun comes in as Ray taking some damage back as well. Power Chord not quite there yet for Luna. So that burst damage not happening. Another Mantra Q. Boomerang goes in a weird position as the Ignite's down. No heal to come in as Bomb does throw out his. Luna looking for that level 2 mark still as T-Gun's burning down. Lots of creep damage, and you can see how squishy the Sona is. Already battling his Impaired. Yeah, looking for it as Luch throws down the Ghost, but gets knocked up with that QE combo from Impaired. Gets the flash as well, so double summoner spells out from Luch early.
But unfortunately, it was quite poorly timed. Frey needed that level 3. I'm guessing this cannon is what gives it to him.
There it is.
That could have been the kill that's now gone missing. It's a little bit too hypey there from Impaired. No communication between him and Frey, and that's already a poor start, honestly, for Hellions. The bottom side of the map, they were relying on that level 2 to be seen by Sona, and they did get there in the end, and they didn't die. But that trade was scarily close. If they could just hold their horses a bit, things might have been different.
Well, Impaired throws down a shield for himself. Frey looking to try and help, but he's got negative 100 health. Well, he's got less than 100 health. Yeah.
He'd be dead if he had negative. I think that's how that works.
Or it's impossible. Not entirely sure. As Seb looking to steal this one away right under the noses of the Hellions. Impaired did go back home. So nice steal here from Seb. And this is a 3-buff start now for the Gragas, taking advantage of the early gank from Impaired.
Yeah, once again, it was a good gank from Impaired. He made the right moves. He's even targeting the right lane, trying to get Frey going, who has been performing in this middle lane decently well. One mistake and Seb does pick up on it. If they got the kill, perhaps it would have been worse.
Yeah. So early back from Raid, actually. Decides to pick himself up the Cull. Has some potions here in this lane as well. Doesn't want to stay low against a Sona.
No, you definitely don't. And you actually want to exploit the Sona this early in the game when you have a Karma that can deal a lot of base damage every time you have the Mantra Empowered Q. Something that T-Gun has been doing extremely well on his most played champion, I believe by quite a significant amount.
Yeah, actually played it 8 times in comparison to Braum at 5. So you're right, does favor the Karma.
But he's showing why. Hitting most of the Qs, pressuring them out. The 2v2 from Abyss is quite comfortable.
Yeah, understands the capabilities of his champion. As you can see, Frey does have that wave moving towards him now. As Luch was able to get back into the lane and answer that slight CS lead that Frey picked up. But since then, things going back into Snake Lady's favor.
A lot of damage threat comes out of her Cassiopeia, especially before Frey can get towards his first Hex Core upgrade as Impaired's back.
Yeah, one more time, but Gragas is here for the counter gank. Nice knock-up comes in as Seb throws down the barrel. Lots of damage as Impaired just gets slowed to high heaven and destroyed by the persistent damage.
And that's all Seb needs to do. Once again, we spoke towards the draft and the team composition that Abyss have compiled. Well, Seb can go forwards, he can go backwards, but Impaired has one direction. It's extremely linear, and it's in. The second he goes in, Seb can counter gank, has a level advantage, has the blue buff already stolen away from Impaired, and that was just easy pickings. for the Abyss roster. Smart play from the jungle, though.
Certainly was, as Seb just seems to be in the right place for this team.
Yeah, he definitely is one of the shining lights of this team. Has been performing quite well in their wins against the Chiefs and the Direwolves, respectively. That doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. You can see now, having a look back in towards the bottom side, Luna throwing down some harassment, but you can see T-Gun is keeping himself healthy. Can utilize the Mantra W if he wants to, get himself some health back, but he's a little bit dangerous.
At this point, it's more so just the Sivir and the Karma pushing in and pressuring their health bars under the turret, but the Sona is using her mana to actually heal herself or the Jhin. Then there's going to be less mana used or able to be used on dealing damage.
Snare comes in, gives the free boomerang to Raid. Look at the damage as Ignite's ticking down. Teleport's coming from everywhere. T-Gun secures himself the kill. Understands that he might fall down as he flashes over the wall, and he actually gets away. The Cassiopeia, the only one in the mid lane as Frey went back. Brilliant timing here from T-Gun. Speeds himself up. Miasma's there for the fun of it. And Hellions don't find anything and lose their AD carry.
Yeah, very good movements from T-Gun, actually flashing the thicker wall under the turret of the Hellions, but that is simply because Ryu has teleported nearby, as was Impaired using his flag and drag combo to close distance instead of preventing one of the outlets. Bit antsy once again from this Hellions roster, the young and inexperienced team that even made a change as Seb's now in.
There's the flash body slam. Good cleanse timing as the barrel slightly misplaced there from Seb. Spray gets slowed. Oh, Chaos Storm flies through as Luch looking for more. Misses the ultimate. As the Chaos Storm does a fair bit of work with the gravity field helping out.
Yeah, for what it's worth, that was more of a zoning ultimate. Of course, being stunned, he knew that was inevitable. And so opts towards making sure he doesn't take more damage during this. Does have sustain. Every Twin Fang that he uses to connect onto a minion will give him about 20 health back.
Yeah, he's got 20 CS in the lead as well. So needed to happen in the mid lane as far as Impaired's focus is concerned, as he's going to move over to his red buff, but Seb right there. Decent Q from T-Gun, disrupts Luna on his mission back to the lane. Good shield onto the mid as well. Impaired is having trouble. Seb unable to steal away the red buff, but Ryu comes over, body slam gets Seb to safety. Pac-Man wasn't in lane, so couldn't go in.
Once again, very proactive movements from Seb. He's trying to actually stamp his foot down in this jungle position. Everything you can do, I can do better, is what he is saying to Impaired right now.
What I really like about it as well is it gives room to this Cassiopeia, who is relatively gankable. They know exactly where Impaired is. He can play aggressively. Keep up with that massive CS lead that he has.
Speaking of aggressively, Abyss's bottom lane just walked at Hellions. And they just looked at it. Like, these guys, they're too aggressive. Something is up. And just ran away.
Yeah, but no one was there.
No, Seb's in base. And it's these mind games that seem to be separating the teams at the moment. Seb's ganks have been so effective that if you run at Hellions, they run away.
Yeah. Well, there's another Mantra Q. Bomb gets slowed, but the heals are coming out from Luna thick and fast now. Helping out. Oh, God. That boomerang, as it gets leveled up, starting to do the damage with that BF sword.
If you walk at somebody aggressively enough, eventually they'll stop juking. Because they run out of room to juke.
Well, Luch shoves another minion wave at Frey. Hasn't upgraded that Hex Core yet, so struggling a little bit with the wave clear underneath the turret. Luch, however, not struggling with anything as far as farming is concerned, sitting on 90 to the 68 of Frey.
And 90 at 9 minutes for the record. Of course, having this blue buff means he can move over to the Raptors and constantly take what is now his.
Good knock-up comes in here from Impaired. Shields himself up. Barrel has to be used from Seb as Luna doesn't have Crescendo. Bomb, however, did have the ultimate. The curtain call was there. They needed it. Decided not to pull the trigger.
Of course, the challenging smite helping out for Impaired. Still has the ability to 1v1, it seems. Past that point, perhaps not. Pac-Man's in.
Yeah, there's the Subjugate as well. Ryu taking a lot of damage. Good use of the Equalizer, but Pac-Man's not stopping. Flashes forward. Ryu gets the flash out at the same time. Relatively even health bars, but Ryu does have to be careful.
Yeah, Pac-Man tries to auto-attack cancel with his Q as well and try and munch Ryu's health bar out, but it gives enough time to actually reactively flash, keep himself alive. So Pac-Man doesn't get what he looks for, but does force the Summoner spell out. This means there's an opportunity now for Abyss to perhaps gank Ryu. As he, yeah. You do you, Ryu.
Yep. Face Melter comes out.
Explosive.
Yeah, terrifying. But 10 CS is the lead for Pac-Man. That wave is being chomped down by Ryu's Rumble. Not too worried about how things are going. Wants that dash cannon though as quickly as he can. Spectre's Cowl here. As the Troll picks that one up, and it's just going to be harder and harder as this magic resist comes in for Ryu to deal with this Troll.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke towards perhaps an item and a half, maybe 2 item advantage the Pac-Man will eventually get. Consistently able to split push. Well, I mean, Ryu can get one of his own with the Proto Belt, but it starts to run out quite quickly. What Hellions really need is a teleport to be successful where they can lay down the red carpet, put a Jarvan ultimate on top of it to find the kills.
I was actually thinking about that as well. The first dragon that we have this game is going to be that Infernal Drake, so pretty coveted. One that teams do like to fight for. It might be an opportunity because Hellions just look like they have this team that wants to fight at level 6.
The reddest of carpets.
He's still on it.
Infernal Drake.
Oh yes, that's true.
No, you're right, man. Something we even mentioned in Champion Select. One of the better advantages that these guys have, one of the strengths that a Rumble provides, similar to a Gangplank that was even banned from the Hellions, is that you fight for an objective. They control zones incredibly well.
Yeah.
As there is a Jarvan coming up here, and Pac-Man has wasted his pillar.
Hasn't wasted his ultimate though,
Has no
so
pride.
might be able to help himself out. As there's the Cataclysm, won't be able to get out. Nice use of the Equalizer as Impaired. Trying to lock down Pac-Man, and they do so. Ryu grabs it, burns him down.
Yep, and you have to say the greediness to actually flash earlier in the 1v1 comes back to haunt him. However, Abyss, they're ready. They're always making trades. Once again, showing their hand as quite an experienced team.
Yeah, immediately going for that one as well. As now they're considering this dive. They're out the vision as Bomb taking his time to move out of the way. There's Seb getting the flash body slam. Crescendo only lands onto the Gragas as Luna. He's going to fall down as well. Raid grabs it. One for Luch, one for Raid, and Abyss feeling happy.
Yeah, they actually used the Crescendo to try and stop Seb from getting his whole combo off, but he'd already put the spells together in an order and stacked them up so that it was going to go off anyway, and still knocked the target towards his team. It's another big win for Abyss, and it continues to push them further and further forward.
Yeah, and that kill that Hellions were able to get up towards the top side wasn't followed by any sort of objective. Then it was Dragon, bot out a turret, and then 2 kills as Pac-Man now looking for Impaired. The blue buff steal is what Hellions are trying to get after everything. May come down. There's the curtain call. Seagun just tanking that one up. We'll have another shield. Bomb runs out of bullets.
Yeah, so all Abyss actually lose for that. Besides the kill is the blue buff. Which is still a positive move for Abyss as an end result. Hellions have a 2-0-1 Cassiopeia to contend with, and Frey's farming well. He is still a victor. He'll still do his part. But this is where we always have to draw our eyes towards the opposite side of Summoner's Rift, where the player that has honestly tainted them since the role swap came in, Bomb, is still really far behind Raid.
Yeah, and this is not a matchup that you feel Jin should necessarily lose as well, being Siv's sort of early laning. Now has the Essence Reaver, so it will just be a matter of shoving waves over and over again.
Yeah. That's really the name of the game. The same thing applied in that middle lane eventually. The Cassiopeia had kill threat and was actually just wave clearing the Victor to the point where one of the best wave clearing champions was stuck under the turret.
Yeah, a little bit of a snare comes in as Impaired just says, nope, we're getting rid of your wards, and you're going to leave.
And T-Gun says, nope, I'm a support and have pinks.
Yeah, well, going to throw that one down. Raid, still standing in this lane, waiting for another minion wave.
Big collapse, though, coming from all of Abyss.
Everyone possibly catching them between turrets here as Impaired goes in. This is dangerous as the Cataclysm goes off, flashes his way out. Just sets up a little bit of a baby pen, but Raid takes down Luna on the back end. There's the explosive cask, and Ryu has to flash. Gets himself out of the way. Pac-Man still wants it. Man, that was aggressive positioning, but Abyss, they get the one pick and can now move towards that turret fairly unhindered.
Yeah, one of the downsides of this is you would expect Frey to be able to push that middle lane turret a little bit more, but the lack of vision they have in the river is now hurting them. And he also chooses to have Raptors instead, so he's now about to find Luch ready for him. Maybe push him away from the tower. They don't lose the turret in the top lane of their own. Perhaps another decision that Abyss could have looked towards, but it feels like they have options now, and Hellions aren't taking theirs in response.
Yeah, it looks like Abyss actually just want to try and consolidate at this point, take themselves a Rift Herald, clean up this minion wave on the bottom side of the map, which is where Raid's heading right now.
So does it feel really average to you trying to pick up the Herald buff? It's like it just exists and you can't click it, you just hope that you've clicked it?
Mm-hmm. I know the feeling. I don't really. I never pick up Rift Herald.
It's quite distressing. Like for that half second, I'm not sure if I'm actually getting this.
Does this even exist? Does the Rip Herald? Is it even a real thing? I don't know. I feel like it's an existential question. There's Frey in the mid lane, cleaning up the minions. Can do so nicely with that head upgrade, but still behind more than 20 CS to Luch. Is impaired. He's going to get snared up. Raid has a heck of a lot of damage at this point. Double dagger Essence Reaver. This tower getting brute forced by the Hellions. Only 3 members of Abyss are here to try and help out. But T-Gun shields himself up, speeds himself in. They do at least clear up the minion wave. The tower falls on the top side.
So they actually trade, they get that top lane turret. This will go down eventually to the Hellions, but this is Abyss's last stand trying to deter them or slow them down for as long as possible. Rhea could teleport top lane if he really feels the need to, but that would mean that Summoner spell is missing, and it's something that they have in advantage for themselves, and that is why the bottom lane turret moves. So actually a good movement from Hellions this time around to take the objective. Even if it's a trade, you're a losing team at the moment, and so a trade is still good.
Yeah, and actually, it comes back to what Spawn was saying as well about the fact that, you know, if Hellions are going to win this one, it's going to be Ryu that tries and picks up his team, move it towards victory, and that time was actually in the right place. As Chaos Storm flies down, Luch, a lot of movement speed, will be able to get away. As Impaired and Luna were trying to get in. Song of Celerity helping out, but just wasn't enough.
Yeah, they don't get anything for it. Just a lot of damage, and now that the Chaos Storm is gone, Frey has to wave clear as efficiently as he can. He runs the risk of being killed now by a Cassiopeia. Can't really cleanse the damage that she deals to you, even if the ultimate's not used. She can win a 1v1 now.
Yeah. So that 2-0-2 scoreline feeling very scary. Morellonomicon there. Seraph's Embrace coming in next by Luch by the looks of things, considering that needlessly large rod and the tier that has been stacking for quite some time.
There may be an Abyssal Scepter to be responded to, but he doesn't want to go for that just yet. Of course, Victor has seen a couple of changes. Yep. The first purchase of your Hex Core costs 250 more. The last one is 250 cheaper to round things out so that you have a lot less power in the early game. Of course, still has it eventually.
God. This is what I forgot about Sona. She takes way too much damage. Raid gets shielded up. Tower, a couple of auto attacks away from death here in the mid lane. Nice work by Abyss.
They will be able to get this one because of the health bar that it has. All they need is to hit it once. So you can see Hellion's positioning now is to try and prevent it from being touched at all by standing directly in front of that. It does actually cause some concern with the rest of the map though, where Abyss now know the whereabouts of every single member and can immediately pressure an objective.
God, and they do it so quickly as well. Luch on the Cassiopeia. We talk about it every time, but you have to. She just takes these neutral objectives so fast. T-Gun trying to find a snare onto Impaired as Raid's just clearing out the wave. Relatively easily, I might add.
Wants to protect his ward. And he plays down T-Gun, of course, is a support player. If you place a ward and somebody spots it, it's life or death, really, for you.
Impaired actually trying to play towards that. T-Gun has to shield himself for the movement speed and get away. Feels very bad, man. If that ward dies.
And so they actually put Luch now to the bottom side of the map. Doesn't have a teleport. He's running Ghost and Flash. But he does have the ability to 1v1 most people that he runs into. Not only that, is waiting to hit a big item spike. And even further than that, a Sivir and a Karma cannot be pushed out of a mid lane in any kind of 2v2, let alone the 2v3 that we're observing.
Yeah, especially when it's Frey that's sent down to deal with the 1v1 against the Cassiopeia. Of course, does have the cleanse, makes sense there, but he's the wave clear.
Yeah.
Did spell the death of that turret.
It's a mismatch. They should actually try and keep the Victor mid if possible, just so that he can wave clear and stop the turret from falling. But it's too little too late now as Pac-Man's about to 1v2. 2v2 now.
Yeah, Seb's going to move in, gets the flash, but not the body slam as the pillar comes in. Nice QE. And Impaired gets himself out. EQ, sorry. We're getting the order right.
One of the few times that you'll see Seb make a misplay like that.
Yeah.
They don't pick up the targets they're looking for. Nothing actually burned on the side of Hellions at all. And just a flash and ultimate used by Seb means that he's now slightly irrelevant unless he gets next to people for the following fights.
Well, at the moment, does have at least a Sightstone, can roam around and try and get some vision down, as now he's going back to base. Has that Aegis of the Legion here as well. Standing T-Gun doesn't have his just yet. Wants to make sure that this double magic damage dealing solo lane combination from Hellions isn't going to do as much work as it otherwise could.
They're trying to siege mid lane though.
Good luck.
Really isn't that ideal of a situation for them. Again, we spoke towards what Hellions can do. their team composition, how they can hurt neutral objective fights quite severely by having a Rumble ulti, a Jarvan ulti, and all of the damage that a Jhin and Victor can follow it with, even the Crescendo. They are a level 6 or ultimate-based composition, whereas Abyss can just sit back, let you come to them, and then hit you with the Cassiopeia ultimate, hit you with the Trundle Pillar to put you out of position, and follow up on you with all the damage that they've got. So really, Hellions grouping up in this middle lane is giving Abyss what they want.
Well, you can see they've just decided to go for a 1-3-1 type scenario, or a 1-1-3 as Raid and Luch are the ones on their own.
This is risky though.
Yeah, Seb getting slowed down by the shield. There's the Cataclysm. Body Slam held onto by Seb, gets sped up. Entrance shield used as there's the equalizer. Seb.
Big flank still.
Yeah, needs to try and get out of there. As you can see, Frey. And of course, Bomb making their way in. Seb slowed down by the Harpoons. Another Body Slam comes in. Really nice use of the cast. Gets rid of 3, but the Chaos Storm still going down. Nice movement speed from T-Gun, but fantastic aim out of Bomb. He's going to be tower falling down in the mid lane, possibly on the top side of the map as well, as it does fall. Abyss, they do lose their jungler, but at what cost right now, as both of those members have moved now to the top side of the map. And this inhibitor turret down to half health.
Yeah, they're even teleporting in now to help it. Pac-Man's done that onto a minion.
There's the flash as Luch doesn't quite find it, gets the ultimate down onto Bomb as you can see them running through. Pac-Man says, get back here guys, come on, we're taking down the objectives. He's going to tank this turret up as well. Minions are going to come in and the inhibitor turret falls down, so I'd say worth trade for Abyss.
That's definitely all they're going to get. T-Gun's just being a nuisance and stopping recalls. He's currently still in a battle with Impaired that is never ending for Vision.
Yeah, he's in it. Impaired isn't. He's just like, nah, come on, I just want to go home.
When the pesky karma is enough to deter enough members from Hellions. You could see the exact moment where the shot calling from Abyss changed, and it was as Raid decided to go top lane, T-Gun's stance turned from we're running away to stop them from running away.
Yeah.
And that transition leads to a big advantage given once again to Abyss. They are at least a step ahead at every single moment.
And this is part of that improvement story from Abyss as well, is the fact that their shot calling has been getting better and better as this split goes on. You can see a 9,000 gold lead has now erupted as Impaired doesn't get his back slowed as Seb will be able to clear out this Vision. Now it might be Abyss looking towards the Baron buff. They've got a Cassiopeia.
Yeah, see, the thing is, like we already said this, fighting for the Baron, if Hellions are there to fight for it, could be a winning fight for them.
That's a good point.
So to contrast that, what Abyss should do is bait the Baron and actually win in the side lanes. They have such control around. Problem is they don't have their teleport on the Trundle. And so really now they meet Hellions at their own game, but they do it with a 10,000 gold.
Well, Seb just checking out some barrels. Geckos comes in as he does have to body slam away. Frey gets the movement speed. There's Impaired, has Cataclysm at the ready. The ultimate comes down. Nice work from Seb, but he gets stunned up. About body slam comes in one more time. There's the flash Cataclysm, and Impaired locks down the kill. They have to use a lot for it.
Yeah, it
Seb
wasn't
a little bit lax, but once again, taking up a lot of time, and Abyss moves straight to the turrets.
Seb just blatantly got himself killed, it felt like, just to see if maybe they wanted to fight him. And I guess not having a teleport helps with that, as now they have found a wandering bomb.
Oh dear.
He
Luch
is
gets the flank.
in
His
trouble.
bomb, yeah, he's just going to die. Raid picks up the kill. Luch unable to even get an assist. How very sad.
But he's able to zone him away, so does his part for the team, Luch, and now they make a pick. Trundle still doesn't have teleport, so forcing that Baron without a jungler and without a teleport, unheard of. Hellions should be fine for the moment, just losing their AD carry. Once again, they've built themselves to fight right now, and they are putting a lot into killing Seb. So Seb's just going to let himself die every single time, and they should continue to do this. Get gold onto your carries, maybe give Bomb a kill if you can. And whilst we said a lot was expended for him, surprisingly wasn't too much. It was just the Jarvan and the Victor.
Yeah, Jarvan Flash did come in as Abyss. Now looking for their third dragon of the game. It is another Infernal. 16% stats. Abyss going to be feeling pretty good. No one saw that, Seb. Don't worry, we'll pretend that it hit.
So what?
Yeah, exactly.
Easy pick up there.
Yeah, Risk Scotland now going to be taken from the Gragas. They can move back towards that Baron pit, which hasn't been swept. So Abyss know that they can take all these objectives. Their wards are not being removed.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually see where Hellions wards are, and that basically represents where they're able to move on the map. And what you were seeing is a lot of wards in the lane, in the middle lane, nowhere else. Only now do they actually start to push themselves further in, simply because Abyss have so much control.
Only one turret has been taken here as well as Seth standing on his own. Luch going to get knocked up. There's the crescendo. Ults go down. Everything's being used. A lot of shields there, but the Cassiopeia eventually falls. Bomb lands all of the bullets, but they're still underneath the turret. Raid, he's going to turn up. The Chaos Storm was saved for him, however, and the Boomerang goes wide. Pac-Man off to the side. Nice pillar as he flashes on top of Luna. Raid takes down the Victor as Frey falls, and now it's the Sivir show as Raid's running forward. Bomb off to the side. That's not where he wants to be. And that's another kill. And look at this chase coming out of Abyss. So difficult to get away.
Once again, you have to remember there's 10,000 gold in the lead for Abyss right now, and Hellions could have done that 10 minutes ago. Things might have been entirely different. However, Raid is popping off something huge right now. Seb doesn't die, and neither does he to the burst that they put down, and that's going to be enough to push them through to at least one inhibitor. I'd ideally say they look towards the top lane inhibitor at the exact same time.
Yeah, and paired up in 8 seconds. Luna has just respawned, but Luna and Ryu not going to really stop this one, because there's a banner of command completed by T-Gun as well. He does love doing this. It's difficult for the double AP to take it down.
Yeah, so we do get to see this one again. Of course, Luch completely caught out of position, but takes 4 ultimates to kill him. So you have to recognize that. Not only that, he's still got the stun off.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they are diving between turrets, where at some point in this fight, Bomb decides that he wants to hit the turret instead of being a part of the fight, and that's where they look to disengage, except Frey had other plans. He really did want to fight that and continue to kill them. He ends up dying. As a result, really easy turnaround once again from Abyss.
Yeah, and the flexibility of this composition with do we want to chase, do we want to disengage, really on show in that team fight. Making it look easy.
It does feel quite clean cut, honestly, from Abyss. Time and again, this is like, Hellions are playing towards their team composition, but they get there at about the 20-minute mark, and they're already behind them.
Well, Raid, 6-0 for Sivir, gets caught out as Luch as well. He's going to get stunned. Curtain Call comes in as T-Gun's able to tank a lot of these bullets. Equalizer comes over the top, and Raid keeps himself safe. Picks up the kill onto Impaired, gets the double as Bomb. Now going low, Pac-Man gets over the top, picks up the kill as Seb slows down Luna. Raid wants to pick it up as the Boomerang flies over. Triple kill for the Sivir as Frey is running away from Pac-Man. This is why you get Storm Raider's Surge, but he can't do enough damage. And Gravity Field comes in. Pac-Man's just stopping him from going back because the rest of Abyss, they've got their eyes on the Nexus. 28 minutes into this game, 15-5 in kills, and a 13,000 gold lead. Abyss so commanding.
Winning any game at 28 minutes is a sign of what's to come. This is a team that are looking fantastic against the team that really are struggling. This is not one map on their journey to find a single victory so far, Atlas. They're still behind the mark.
Most certainly are as Impaired turns up, but it's only to see his Nexus fall down. Abyss find the first win. It is, of course, a best-of-3 series. Hellions can possibly come back, but man, it is a tough road after a loss like that.
Yeah, definitely is. There's a long way to go for Hellions in this second game to try and pull back a victory for them.
Yeah, most certainly is. But we are going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break down the Abyss win.
Thank you, Atlas and Rusty. Well, that is Hellions still being winless. Frosco, let's start with the composition. Did Hellions kind of do a composition you expected them to?
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty standard composition. We've seen Hellions win like this before. I'm going to call it a Wombo combo composition. I think, Jake, that you would definitely agree. You made a sound.
I normally, people will know. I normally carry a red notebook around with me here. It's where I take all the important notes that I've made in the game, and I've left it in the book in the back because that was an abysmal performance. I mean, I miss Denian, frankly, because Hellions right now look like they're running around without any idea how to play the map, and that was, their composition actually was really good. I'm really surprised that they went back to something that they're tried and true. Elliot, Impaired, is a fantastic Jarvan player. Ryu's Rumble, you saw in that game, he actually had a very, very good game for himself. It's just they have no idea where they should be on the map. If the map didn't exist, if it was just a 5v5 team fighting game, they would have been fine, but that's not how you play League of Legends anymore.
Exactly, and we actually have a replay ready when they do decide to use their composition, so we can go ahead and...
Bring that one up. No.
No, we got it. Okay. So the important thing is Jake is right, that when the Hellions finally get to use their composition, they know how to use it correctly. The problem is, and Rusty said this in cast, is that they do this at 25 minutes. This should have been done 10 to 15 minutes earlier. So we can go ahead, roll the replay. It's effectively just a Wombo combo composition, which what's important here is this idea that within the duration of your ultimates, you have to immediately delete someone. If the fight ever lasts longer than those cooldowns going down because the Hellions composition is so reliant on them, you will automatically lose. Here they do make the the issue where they don't focus the tower, that should have gone down much quicker than it did. So that was micro mismanaged and misplayed. But in general, this is what you see on Abyss in the back half. It's a sustained damage composition. As soon as those cooldowns are down, if the Hellions haven't already won that fight, they're going to lose it.
Yeah, and two big things I want to point out. Bomb's hitting a turret and Frey's under the tier 2. That, in any world, that is just bad League of Legends. Like, that should not actually happen. He's about 20 Teemos behind the guy. And at the same time, they also pull the trigger when they're 10,000 gold down. I mean, 10,000 gold in any metric in League of Legends, if it's a 60-minute game, there's still a significant margin. That's 25 minutes in, they're 10,000 gold down. So I understand, you know, minimizing damage. Eventually, you do have to try and throw a kitchen sink at them. But, like, do it a little bit earlier. If you're the Hellions, if you're going to pick this comp, as soon as you hit level 6, just group around the Infernal Drake. Abyss will fight you. They're a team that love to brawl. Just do it a little bit earlier.
All right, well, that is game 1. We'll be back right after this.